And we're live.
And we're live.
Am I in the picture? Alright.
Did you turn it?
I don't... Ish?
Is it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
you
it's-
did. Here,
it's all right.
No.
It's
Here,
all
let,
crooked. It's got a level on it.
Yeah. I spent a large portion of my life looking at a level. I'm good. Okay.
shalom, everybody.
Shalom.
Shalom.
So, it's not quite Erev Shabbat yet, but we're patiently awaiting its arrival. Man, I hope that wind blowing doesn't mess up the audio. So, we're gonna briefly touch on something and then move on to a whole nother thing.
You started this a long time ago.
Yeah, it all ended. Okay.
Hey, where are the chickens?
Why would you tempt fate like that? Okay. Do you know that when should you bug out video that we shot during Sukkot?
Yeah,
That thing did great on YouTube.
really.
It did great. Should this be a YouTube? No, this is going to be a Patreon video because we're going to answer a question for Pool Lady. Pool
Okay.
Lady, to answer your question about a solar well pump, the short answer is I have no idea. You said was Engineer 355 or something like that?
Engineer 7755, I think it
That
is.
sounds better. Yeah.
Engineer 755 on YouTube. Gordon's going to look it up. By the way, Gordon from the APN, Hobie909.
I subscribe, so let me look him up real
I do
quick.
too, but
So-
I don't watch his videos like I used to.
Oh man, he's good.
He's a really smart guy.
He was actually one of the judges on the show on Discovery or whatever it was, Doomsday Preppers.
Yeah.
He was actually one of the judges.
That's
Oh.
why I started watching him. Him and Southern Pepper One, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know the Southern Pepper one was.
There were two of them. Yes. I may be wrong.
Southern Prepper 1 was hired to do security assessments on that show.
Yeah. I think
Ish.
he's pretty awesome. I like him.
I know next to nothing about him. I'm on a self-imposed low information diet.
It is Engineer 775, all one word. Engineer 775.
So,
Excellent solar stuff.
yeah. So,
He's got lots of. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
it's
does.
cool.
Lots of
He
good
does.
stuff.
so the short answer to your question is I'm not your guy on that, and thank you for being here and being part of the Patreon thing, but I have literally no experience with solar well pumps, so I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I do.
Well-
I don't know.
Let me say this. I know that Pastor Joe over at Viking Preparedness, and I believe it's on his YouTube channel. It might be on his Patreon, and if you're not subscribed to him on Patreon, you should be. He actually installed a solar well pump, or somebody helped him install a solar well pump. So he has a video on that. Go check that out. Go check out Engineer 775, and let Google be your friend. Google solar well pump.
Yep.
I mean, I'm assuming it's going to need to be a 12 volt or a 24 volt pump that's run either directly off of, and I think that's the way Pastor Joe's is set up. It runs directly off the solar panels. So when there's sun, it pumps water up into a tank out of the well for them, and that stays there. Here, I'm trying to be serious, and you guys are... Oh, I see. She's about to beat somebody in the head with a
The
stick.
baby's about to decapitate Harmony with a 12-foot cane pole.
But there are different ways you could do it. You could set up a whole little system where you've got the battery and everything so that you have the pump on demand even at nighttime, or you could do like Pastor Joe did, where during the day when there's sun, it fills up a cistern of sorts
Right.
while it's in the sun, so you don't have to worry about the battery, because the battery's a large cost, plus there's a lot of maintenance to it. So just let Google be your friend and do some research, and I'm sure you can find a lot of information. Spend some time, do some reading, watch some videos.
Let your fingers do the walking, ma'am. But for real, thank you for being here. I just don't know. And thank you. That was a pretty good answer, man.
I'm no expert. I've never installed one. I've never really studied them. I do know a little bit about it. I've been doing a lot of research on solar, because I'm trying to move our house to at least partial solar with a battery bank. Not to replace the grid, but as an insurance policy, and having to be without electricity for a long time, we've got something that we can depend on. So, including running a pump but I got a 110 well pump, which will run off my inverter on a standard solar system.
So this is not at all what I intended to talk about,
We
but
change the subject.
yeah. But you
Okay.
guys, go ahead.
All that knowledge, after it's all said and done, get you a manual pump too.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
A bale bucket.
Amen.
Is yes.
I mean, you
Yep.
can get a manual pump.
Well,
just
I've
like
got our well is like 86 feet,
We're gonna have to do another.
so
video.
No, it's all
it's
good.
just we got to have a bale bucket.
Yeah, that's cool though. I just had a guy email me the other day. You know who you are, about whether or not he should spend not a huge amount of money, but a considerable amount of money on a hand pump for his well. And I was like, yeah. If we had some back and forth, and I was like, can you swing it? He's like, yeah, I can swing it. Then do it.
I've got one.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It
Yeah.
was like, if you have all these other things taken care of and you have the cash flow, then do it. And
If my well wasn't so deep, I would already had one.
yeah. And this is the beautiful thing about Patreon, is where we can have nuanced conversation and actually bring value to people without having to worry about the YouTube comments. What are you going to do when the zombies? Shut up, dude. That's what I'm going to do. Shut up. Go
The
away.
zombies.
You know? You are the zombies. Like, that's the thing. You don't get it. It's not everybody on YouTube, but that's just like, you're still a zombie if that's where your mind is at.
Well,
But-
I mean, think about how many people just walk around like this and run into telephone poles, and those are your zombies, folks.
So I was just thinking while we were sitting here, and this is not at all what I intended to shift this conversation to, but you know, somebody out there has the engineering background to make this happen. So you need to bring it to us so we can capitalize on this. There are, listen, what, knife hand?
He's being serious.
I am, I'm being serious.
I'm with you, bro.
I'll knife hand you in half.
Hey, what happened to your khaki cap?
It's in the house.
Oh, okay.
Why, you want me to go get it?
No, it's just I'm not used to seeing you in the gray hat.
Yeah, I'm all day of it.
See, you're trying to be all gray man and stuff.
Yeah, it's totally flying underneath the radar all the time. 24/7. Yeah, I'm not even here right now.
I didn't notice. It's okay, we got.
Okay. So,
Well, I don't have to sit so close to you then.
would
Ooh.
whoa, chair.
Yeah, I don't think it'll hold 500 pounds. Okay.
Well, that was the chair. That was the chair.
So, wood furnaces exist.
Yes.
Right? Okay. So, hear me out on this. I had growing up a gigantic wood stove that we would, you could literally throw sections of telephone pole in it and burn them. Huge wood stove, and it had I think it was a 200-gallon water tank on top of it. That the fire from the wood would heat the water up, and then there was a circulator pump tied into radiators in the house, tied to a thermostat, electric 120-volt circulator pump. Then when the thermostat, temperature dropped below whatever you set it to, 68 degrees, it would kick the pump on, pump that hot water through the pipes, through the radiators.
So this was more or less a wood-fired boiler.
But it also made hot water for dishes, showers, whatever. Come on. Well, I'm in the middle of a video. Swing? 1 minute. You want to say hi to people? No?
Nope.
Okay, that's fine. Great, baby. And so, there you are. What if you had a wood furnace that created heat for your home, created hot water, and it could be forced hot air heat, it could be, whatever, radiant barrier heating, or radiant whatever heating, heat for your home, hot water for your home. Use some of that water, because you do get boil over, create steam, put a small steam turbine on it that generates electricity, and capture the smoke and run it through a radiator that condenses it and makes wood gas. So you have one of these things that sat outside. This is your ultimate preparedness wood stove, and maybe you could cook on it too. Use all those things in one thing. You got your wood heat, your wood cook stove, your wood gasifier. The steam turns into electricity, and you capture the smoke and turn it into wood gas. It's all the same thing. It's all wood.
Yep, it is. It is.
You just have to deal with all the different elements of
That's
it.
going to be a pretty large machine.
Yeah.
lot of wood.
to do all that. Well, no, I don't know that it's going to take a whole lot of wood. Now, okay, in a previous life, I lived with a woman at one time when I was going to college, and we had a wood furnace. Okay, we all had previous lives, right? We had a wood furnace. Now, this furnace only blew hot air. That's what it did. It was a wood-fired hot air furnace. It would have been really cool if, as in awesome, not temperature-wise, if it had hot water coil around it so that it would have supplemented the water that was in the hot water tank. That would have been awesome. But taking the smoke and making it a gasifier, that's going to get a lot more complicated.
Yep.
And being able to cook on it as well, that's really going to be tough, because then you're going to have to put it, well, I guess you could like have an out, because the wood-fired furnace that we had was in a room on the back side of the house on what, if it hadn't been enclosed for the furnace, it would have been a concrete patio.
Right.
So it could be doable as an outdoor kitchen.
Right. That's kind of what I had
So that's
in my dome.
It would be a complicated machine, and it would be expensive to produce, and obviously it would be expensive to purchase.
Yeah. Oh, you're not going to pick one up for $1,000 or even a couple of grand.
Now, let me say this. I have a friend that's in the Sainham Radio Club that I'm in, who has a wood furnace in his house. It's inside his house, and it runs on wood pellets.
Yep.
And it's got the electric augers, so, I mean, obviously he needs electricity to run it, but it has electric augers, and it runs on the thermostat. It feeds it automatically. He's got a big hopper that he keeps wood pellets in, and it keeps the temperature going just like, for the most part, just like an electric thermostat, or an electric or a gas heater would furnace.
Yep.
So you could, I think the wood pellet, if you were going to try and produce something like that, you would definitely want to make a wood pellet version as well as.
Yeah, you could. I think it'd be great to have one that ran on firewood, though. So as long as it's not Shabbat, you can go around and pick up sticks and throw it in there and walk away from it.
Well, and think about this. So the base model runs on firewood.
Right.
Or you can buy the optional insert that goes in the firebox that is the wood pellet.
And the cook stove part of it is probably the most complicated part to make fit with the rest of it. And if you capture the smoke, you don't want to capture all of the smoke, because you need to have enough airflow that the thing will burn. So you don't want to restrict the flow. But you can capture some of it, siphon that off, and make a collection tank of sorts that this is my wood gas. And I'm just spitballing here. I have no idea if it could be done or not. And it might be cost prohibitive, but it'd be cool.
Engineer 775, if you're watching this video, we would love to see a video response.
I'd love to put $50K into R&D and just buy some steel and go to a welding shop and make one. And it doesn't even, $10K in R&D, and hey, here's a prototype. Let's see what happens. That could be really cool, because those wood furnaces, they're not cheap anyway.
Right.
The big outdoor wood furnaces, they're not cheap. So if you're,
if your mine has one in his house. No, they're not cheap.
So if you're throwing 10 grand at something already, wouldn't it be cool if it also made your hot water? Something I forgot to add was we had ours in the basement, and that 200 gallons of water is a huge heat sink. You have all that thermal mass. I mean, that's 1,600 pounds of water. So it threw some heat.
A lot of thermal mass solar homes will use water containers as thermal mass units.
Right. So that's something else to consider as well. So, yeah, that's just kind of like a mental. As we were sitting here talking about that, it dropped into my brain. I was like, if there's anybody that knows anything about that, it's got to be the patrons. It's got to be the patrons. So. Sorry, pool lady. I wish I had a good answer to your question. I don't.
That's right. We're still on the solar well pump.
The solar
video.
well pump thing. But
again, Engineer 775. You need to help out pool lady.
Come on. You know what, man? You got some ad money. Just buy her one. I don't know the man. He's not here. But if I did, I would make him buy you one. I would show up at his house about 3 a.m., kick his door in, and be like,
you'd be like, dude. Pool
lady needs a well pump. What? Give me your checkbook. So
no, I've never met the man, but he seems like a really decent guy. I mean, he does a lot in our community of readiness-minded people. Ooh, that's a good word, readiness. Readiness-minded people. He does a lot of good stuff to help the community overall.
Amen. Good? You got anything to add? You just eye candy, man. You nailed it though with that hand pump.
I mean, you got.
Yeah.
I actually probably stole that from him. I used to watch a lot of his videos because I'm not technologically a genius.
Right.
And yeah, check him out. He's got some smart stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, and most of his stuff is solar based. He even has videos on solar air conditioning. Yes, it can be done. All kinds of stuff. So
That
I've
seems
seen.
like a lot of draw.
Well, they have much more the split systems now are a lot
That's
more
true.
efficient,
Okay.
and that's the only way that he's saying it can feasibly be done is with a split system.
Fair enough. All right then. Shalom.
Shalom.
Roar! Hit the button, T. I didn't hit the button. We'll try again.